Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I, Engineer Shad Muhammad, lecturer at Department of Civil Engineering, ComScience University, Islamabad, Sahiwal campus. Welcome you all to this fascinating topic on precast concrete construction. And here we are with lecture number 23 of the subject Civil Engineering, Construction and Graphics. In our previous lecture, that is lecture number 22, we studied windows and types of roofing systems, and we studied different types of windows used in building: fixed windows, sliding windows, pivoted windows, double hung windows, lowered windows, casement windows, metal windows, sash windows, corner windows, bay windows, dormer windows, clerestory windows, lantern windows, gable window, ventilators, and skylights, and numerous other types of windows are also available. You can search in through the internet, and windows treatment methods and types we studied, and we studied different roofing systems and its types, that is sloping, bent, and or pitched roof, flat or terrace roofs, and shelled roofs and domes. Particularly based on these are classified based on its shapes. Alright, in today's lecture, that is a lot of prevalent, this type of categories are quite prevalent in construction industry, that is precast concrete construction. So we will be studying this precast topic in detail, and it will be also covered in our upcoming two lectures. Then they are related to pre-stress concrete and pre-tensioning concrete and post-tensioning concrete. We will study introduction to precast concrete construction and precast concrete. We will look into precast concrete products, and we will also go through elements in the precast concrete building systems and advantages related to precast concrete, and there are also several disadvantages to precast concrete. Precast concrete molds, what precautions need to be taken while preparing the precast concrete molds and precast concrete in buildings. Further categorization of precast concrete in buildings are large panel systems and frame systems, and in frame system we will go in deeper into column to base frame connections, and column to column connections, and slab to beam connections, and column to beam connections. Slab column system with shear wall means slab column and including a shear wall we will study, and a slab column system with shear wall, and precast concrete construction procedure, how you are going to carry precast concrete construction, and points to take care during casting, and during plant, and during transportation, during erection, and care on site of construction. We will also look into erection sequence, erection safety, erection tolerance, rigging, temporary bracing, level shims, propping, joints connection details, and cast-in connection, lift inserts, and surface finish pre-concrete checks, which type of checks need to be incorporated before concreting, and concrete placing during placement of the concrete, and demolding and lifting of that precast member, and curing, how you are going to cure the precast member, handling, how are you going to properly handle the precast prepared concrete, and lifting equipment accessories, and factory and site storage, transportation, erection on site, and quality assurance system, and building precast concrete projects, sample building precast concrete projects we will also be going through. Okay. Introduction to precast concrete construction. Precast concrete is the construction product produced by casting concrete in a reusable mold or formwork, which is then cured in a controlled environment, transported to the construction site, and lifted to the place. Okay, these are the precast concrete products which are mostly prepared at off the site, and in factories they are prepared, and they are cured in factories, and casted in factories, and cured in factories, and lifted through those molds, and transported, and brought to the site, and they are placed and fixed with different assembly anchors, and those facilitating accessories. So mostly their molds or formwork is reusable because it is factory produced concrete and precast concrete members. So these molds and formworks are reusable, and in contrast, standard concrete or in situ concrete. Standard concrete, it doesn't mean that it is precast concrete is non-standard concrete, but standard concrete means that it is commonly used concrete. Or in situ concrete is poured into the site specific forms and cured on the site. In situ concrete or in situation concrete, concrete is directly cast at the site, specific formwork and cured on the site, and temperature and environmental conditions are site specific. Precast concrete is also known as prefabricated concrete. Yes, precast concrete is also known as prefabricated concrete because they are fabricated before and off the site. Okay, produced in plants in locations away from construction site. They are produced. They are constructed in construction factories rather than construction sites. So they are produced in plants. And these components are manufactured by industrial methods based on mass production in order to build a large number of buildings in short time at low cost. So through industrial methods and machinized processes and concepts of mass production is also incorporated in industrial methods by default. So large number of building components can be constructed in short time with low cost. Alright, let's look into different precast concrete products, and its application is not only limited to linear or planar elements but also volumetric precast concrete units covering both structure and non-structural applications. These are the three basic categorization of architectural elements: linear, planar and volumetric. Linear elements are lined elements and straight, and their major dimension is in having larger length. So planar elements are two-dimensional elements, and third dimension is quite smaller and negligible, and volumetric elements having a volume, they can be having an empty space inside, and they can be 3D structural elements. So precast applications, concrete products not only are limited to precast concrete building components and site amenities. So different building components and site amenities facilitating components can be produced and can be of precast concrete. Earth retaining systems, mostly earth retaining walls are constructed of precast concrete, and boundary walls are of precast concrete. And sanitary and stormwater management products, your piping system, RCC piping system is mostly precast concrete. And precast concrete transportation products, so mostly bullards and other different transportation products, including bridges also, and culverts are precast concrete products, and marine products are also included in precast, and pre-stressed structural products are mostly famous, and now its use is extensively used extensively, and in different developed countries precast structural products and pre-stressed precast concrete is very famous. You can see that different 3D aesthetic elements can also be produced by precast concrete products. Alright, precast concrete products, these are the pipings and sanitary or sewage pipings, and these are precast concrete slabs, hollow concrete slabs, and for retaining of the earth, different precast aesthetic concrete members have been casted, and these are for lifting purposes, and these are bullards, and earth means that boundary walls, precast boundary walls, and tough tiles, different shapes of tough tiles are produced by precast concrete, and you can see that shear walls or wing walls, or it seems to be a wing wall. All right, elements in precast concrete building systems. So building system include precast concrete walls, means precast walls of precast concrete are also prepared in factories, and precast slabs is also prepared, and precast beams and girders are also prepared. Precast columns and precast stairs, you can look into it, that precast beam is being lifted and handled, and you can see that wall panels are precast wall panels are being placed at this place, and precast staircases are being handled, and you can see that precast columns and precast slabs. So what are the advantages of precast concrete construction? And advantages are not limited to this list, and concrete is cost of the site. Yeah, this is the benefit, that you do not need a lot of space on the site for concrete construction, mixing and its costing, and other processes for ensuring proper concreting. So identical forms can be used several times. Once you prepared a standard mold, you can reuse it for more than 100 plus times, and it depends on the quality of the formwork or the mold which you formulated. So sorry for mistake, it is better quality control. Your quality control can be enhanced because you are factory producing, and there are specialized labors for it, and ISO standard protocols are being followed, and different quality checks have been applied before formulating the mold, and during mixed design of the concrete and other processes. So control on curing, you can control according to its environment is different as compared to the environment of the site. So factory you can have specialized environment for curing, and you can also apply steam curing very easily, unaffected by weather when casting. So yeah, it is also relating, curing is also related to directly related to weather conditions, so unaffected by weather, but your concrete member by itself is unaffected by the weather when casting. So construction is less time. Construction molds are standard quality, and with the help of different accessories, lifting and placement accessories, you can very easily construct in less time, so less cost. When you consider quality and cost, quality and time, better quality and less time, so cost reduces. So waste material can be used, fly ash and different additives and admixtures can be very easily used and quantified in precast concrete members. So precast concrete members are also fire resistant, and very easily you can make them fire resistant. So different admixtures can be used for having a fire resistance phenomena. So can avoid airborne pollution on the site, dusting and different that environmental hazards can be reduced by following the precast concrete construction. Okay, Code of Practice of Hong Kong states that standard precast elements are well suited for mass production. So they are very suitable for mass production because fabrication process is automated, so as to minimize labor cost, to minimize waste generation, and to optimize the use of formwork. So this is the major benefit: cost, time and quality. So these three categories are majorly focused in industrialized self-automated processes. So minimize labor cost, less labor is used as a lot of processes are automated, and to minimize waste generation, so means human handling is reduced, so waste generation is very less, and optimize the use of formwork. Alright, what are some disadvantages? Costlier for small projects. Certainly if you are constructing a small 10 malla home or some other item, then 5 malla home, and nowadays even at 3 malla homes are constructed in Pakistan. So costlier for smaller projects, it is quite costlier, a lot of cost of transportation, handling and preparation of those members is required. So required skilled labor workers, technical workers are required, and who have experience in this precast area, or who are skilled enough and trained enough. And transportation is costly of large members for a small project. So if you are bringing in the slab, precast concrete slab, so it will have a lot of transportation charges, or quite slender columns, then it will have a lot of transportation charges, and it is required to be designed and detailed for transportation erection. Yeah, means for transportation and erection of the precast concrete members need to be designed and detailed before starting your precast concrete construction, and requires different sites for its production. So sometimes this is also a reservation against precast concrete construction, that it is produced off the site. So when they are brought into the site, so their condition is quite different. But you can see that when concrete has set and hardened enough, so effect of temperature reduces with the passage of time as the maturity of the concrete increases. Alright, let's look into precast concrete molds, and these are workers are applying mold release agents. Mold release agents can be oil of through which the surface of the mold is smoothened, and it is done before casting. And first it is water is applied, that it is clean, and this mold is clean of any dust particles or any foreign material. And then oil is applied on the surface of the mold, and bolts and nuts are applied properly. And you can see steel mold with specified roughness and precision. So your steel mold should be of specified roughness and precision. Your roughness should not be too much that it is very hard to remove the molds. And certainly there are many different types of molds, that means they can be nut and bolt type, and you just open the nut and bolt, and they are removed. And sometimes you have to extract the concrete member out of the mold. Alright, combined use of steel molds and timber mold, and it is also not necessary that uniform material molds you are using. You can see that a steel mold and a timber mold are used in combination, and you can see that there is reinforcement, and here reinforcement, and here you can see reinforcement, and now concreting will be carried out. So example of mold orientation, vertical. So vertical members, it is an example of vertical members, construction of vertical members. You can see that it is almost a volumetric element, and this is a planar element, and this is a volumetric element, a wall, and with a plinth beam, and you can see an opening has been left for maybe a door or a window. So we can speculate because other sides are not visible to us. So here is reinforcement, and molds and nuts and bolts are connected to the mold. Okay, this is an example of mold orientation in horizontal member. Horizontally member orientation has been shown. Alright, these are industrialized mechanism and gantry mechanism for lifting, and movement is also provided. And you can see that mold is of specified quality and quite high quality, and they can be reused. Just you need to open nuts and bolts and ensure that mixed design, water of the mixed design is not seeped out of the mold. Alright, precast concrete in buildings. A whole building can be constructed of precast concrete. Yeah, you can. Different countries have started precast concrete, and whole building is being constructed of precast concrete. And precast beams, precast columns, and footings, floors, roofs, walls, and stairs. Different elements of the building are nowadays prepared by precast concrete, and erection on site with care you need to take care for erection on the side, that so that different cracks do not occur, or different stresses at side places of anchorage are not incorporated on your member. So depending on the load bearing structures, precast buildings can be divided into following categories. So all your structures are load bearing structures. They need to bear some load, so they are categorized in large panel systems, in which large panels are used for load bearing, and frame systems. Column beams and slabs are used, and slab column system, and slab is placed on columns, and these are categorized. Not limited to these are generic categories of load bearing structures, and used in precast concrete buildings. So you can look into it. This that a large panel is being placed at its place, and this is a wall, and you can see that large panel systems. Okay, these are also large panel systems. Concrete wall, precast concrete wall having window opening, and precast volumetric element. These are planar elements, and these are volumetric elements. A window, an opening for window has been left, and for door and windows have been left, and they will be placed at this site. Large panel systems. Large panel systems are composed of large walls and floor concrete panels. Large walls and floor concrete floors panels. So walls and slabs connected in the vertical and horizontal. So vertically walls, precast concrete walls are prepared, and horizontally precast concrete floors and concrete panels are prepared. The panel forms a box-like structure. Panels. These are both are panels. So wall panels and floor panels. So they are box-like structures, and both vertical and horizontal panel resist gravity loads. So both are helpful in resisting the gravity loads. And wall panels are usually 1 story high. So mostly they are constructed of 1 story high, and for another story you have to bring in another wall panel and place them at its place, and you can just construct multiple stories with the help of these precast large panel systems. And horizontal floors and roof panels span either as one-way or two-way slabs. So means floors can be horizontal floors and roof panels. So floors and roofs, we have studied in detail that what is the difference between floor and roof, and both can be constructed in one-way and two-way slabs. So this is based on behavior of the floor and roof are based on categorization, categorized on usage, and they are one-way and two-way slabs are categorized on based on behavior of the slab and how it is going to resist and carry the load. So when properly joined together, these horizontal elements act as diaphragms that transfer the lateral loads to the walls. Means when you are properly joined together, the wall panels and panels of the floor, then these floors act as horizontal elements, act as diaphragms that transfer the lateral loads. When earthquake or lateral wind loads occur, so they act as almost web of the beam. Similar to web of the beam, and they are diaphragms, and they resist and provide stiffness to your horizontal loading, against your horizontal loading. Large panel systems, you can see that walls and they are anchored. These are different rooms, and a vertical panel is being carried. Alright, these are anchored, and large panel system is being constructed. Alright. Braced frames, elevators, shafts, and stair cores or services cores. These are also stair cores are also known as service cores. Are effective structural elements providing lateral stability, and additional cost of utilizing them as stabilizing system is negligible. So means in large panel systems you can incorporate stabilizing lateral stabilization. You can incorporate with the help of braced frames and elevator shafts and stair cores. In this, mostly in the high-rise buildings, stair cores are preferred in the center, and in other buildings you can bring in stair cores at their sides and to enhance torsional resistance. And moreover, elevator shafts and brace frames can be in periphery of the large panel systems, so they act as lateral stabilizations, and so enhances your lateral stability against your earthquake loading and wind loading. So you need not to incorporate other stabilizing systems for against your structure, against these horizontal loading for your structures. In assessing the deflection due to gravity loads, it is necessary to compare the effect of long-term deflection against the limiting value of the span divided by 250. Okay, when span is not is that of the member under construction consideration. So means for deflection calculation you have to consider that the span of the member divided by 250, and if that is your deflection, calculated deflection is less than deflection calculated through this equation, then that is okay. Okay, you can see that large panel system, how they are joined together. This is your precast concrete wall, and dowel bars are provided for bonding with the other panels, and you can see that this is precast concrete slab and panel. So these are hollow core, and these are reinforcement bars are provided across the wall. So no column has been provided, and you can see that these dowel bars can be post tensioned and fixed here, anchored here, and these are mostly post tension bars. So shims are required. Shims are for leveling purposes, and different grouting is provided in these junctions. So with the same process you can connect, and here different reinforcement will be extruded out and will be bonded with another panel which will be placed parallel to this previous panel. And here you can see that slab and column connection and dowel bars are provided, and you can see that here you can anchor them, or you can connect them and continue the, and these are mostly pre-stressed steel bars and reinforcement bars in the grout keys between slab elements tie the floor structure together across the supporting walls. So these are the supporting walls. Sorry to say that it was columns. So these are supporting walls, and as we are studying large panel system, so mostly columns are not used, and these walls, and these are having reinforcement, and they are continued across the slab, and slab reinforcement is continued across the walls, and for better bonding and continuity of the load carrying mechanism. So where there are openings, so this is this shaded portion is grouted. Grouting is a phenomenon in which cement and appropriate quantity of water is mixed together to form a slurry, and they are placed, and they have quite good bonding and high strengths. Alright, frame system. Precast frames can be constructed using either linear elements or special beam column sub-assemblies. So different linear elements can be connected together. These can be of same reinforcements, and beam column sub-assemblies can be connected. And the connecting face are at the beam column junctions. So connecting face is almost beam column junctions, that is the joint and beam column joint, and beam columns can be seated on corbels at the columns for ease of construction, and that is extruded portion outside for the support of the column, and having a corbel, and that is extruded portion outside for the support of the beam. So these are the beams, precast concrete beams, and they are just placed on the corbels of the column. So to create a shear transfer from the beam to the beam column joint accomplished in this way are hinged. Means they are hinged connections, and they help in shear transfer from the beam to the column. Shear is critical at its support, at the support of the member, and flexure is critical based on loading conditions, if that loading conditions, and also the type of the end conditions of the beam column. However, rigid beam column connections are used in some cases when the continuity of the longitudinal reinforcement through the beam column joint needs to be ensured. Sometimes rigid connections or fixed connections are constructed where you are bound to have fixed connection. So to obtain a fixed connection, reinforcement through the beam column joint needs to be continuity of the longitudinal reinforcement. So longitudinal reinforcement of the column should be continued, and longitudinal reinforcement of the beam should be continued across the members, so that continuity of longitudinal reinforcement is ensured for having a rigid beam column connection. Alright, for a frame structure comprising individual precast elements, it is necessary at the construction stage to consider the stability of the cantilevered columns. So during construction stage, you should ensure the stability of the cantilevered columns, because mostly columns are placed, and when they are placed, so they are cantilevered, and their level, horizontal and vertical, both levels need to be checked again and again. After the joint have gained sufficient strength, the stability of the structure is provided by making use of flexural and shear continuity at the joints. So it means when you place the members together, and then you have to join them and fix the anchorages, and make sure that flexural and shear continuity at the joints. Alternatively, structural walls include core walls, and shear walls can be used to resist lateral loads and to transfer lateral loads to the foundation. So for the transfer of the lateral loads, that is earthquake loads or wind loads, which occur transverse to the panels, transverse to the vertical panels. So they are core walls and shear walls help in resisting the lateral loads to transfer the lateral loads to the foundation. So precast floors are designed to carry in-plane horizontal loads by diaphragm action in a similar to the deep beams. So we have studied in previous slides that your precast members act as, means if horizontal load is from this side, so this slab will act as a diaphragm, and it will act as a B. This will act as a flange, and this will act as a B web, and this is again flange. So this will act as a diaphragm and act similar to a deep beam, and deep beam is mostly greater than 6 feet depth. So this slab panels are mostly almost greater than 5 feet. So they act as a diaphragm and help in resisting lateral loads. For high-rise buildings, you can also incorporate structural walls, core walls, and shear walls. Okay, you can see the frame system and outside wall panel. This is outside wall panel in top first floor. Wall panel has been provided, an RC reinforced concrete column 2. This is reinforced concrete column, and RC girder number 3. This is RC girder has been provided. You have studied the difference between girder and a beam, and girders are of greater dimensions and major load carrying members, and beams are smaller members and secondary load carrying members when used together. RC bracing slab number 4. These are the braced slabs, and RC ceiling slab, RC diaphragm 5 number. So this is a diaphragm. A shear wall has been provided almost. And RC slab, ceiling slab, 6th one. Okay, this is a ceiling slab has been provided. This is a bracing slab. It has braced these columns together, and it is working as a bracing component. And these are the ceiling slabs. Okay, RC foundation. These are the foundation. All these members are just joined together and prepared on the site, and these are different components of the frame system, and they are brought to the site and joined together and grouted where there are openings, and that's it. They are the frame systems. Okay, now we will study different connections in the frame system, that is column to base. How you are joining column to the base. So this is a column, precast concrete column, and this is precast concrete slab or footing. Base, for we are studying the base, so base can be a slab on ground and a slab on grade. So slab and different bolts have been provided, and here also the bolt have been provided. So clip angle welded to anchorage plate. So this is angle iron has been placed, and this is welded to the anchor plate. This is an anchor plate, and this has been welded together. And anchor bolts, so anchor bolts are there for anchorages too, in addition to welding. So shim pads and non-stick grounds. So this is for leveling purposes, and shim pads are used, and this opening is then grouted and non-shrinking grouted, so that there is no shrinking in. So mostly fillers are used, and in the grouting. So in continuous strip footing, this is continuous strip footing. There are different types of footing, so particularly strip footing is used, and these are the beam column to base connection. Okay, you can see that concrete footing and post tension anchor cast in footing. Okay, this is for regarding the nut and bolt connections, and now this is precast concrete and continuation, if you are providing the continuation. So post tension rods are provided in the column, and there's an opening sleeve has been provided, and which will be later grouted, and shim pads and non-stick grout is provided, and post tension anchor cast and footing. So firstly, cast and footing, post tension anchor is provided here till here, and they are left till here. Then when placing this column, this place is open. You have just to fix it with the anchorages, and this will ensure the continuity, and then post tension from the upper side, so that this is uniformly connected together, and then these openings are grouted. And make sure that a filler is used and additives are used so that non-shrinking phenomena occurs. Okay, individual footing or stepped footing and column. You can see that reinforcement sleeves are provided, and you just grout them together, and that's it. If you are just providing, then column base plate is provided, and few bolts are provided above them, and then bolts are there will also be a base plate with this another column, and they will be bolted together and sometimes welded together too. Connections, we are studying connections and column to column connection, how you are going to connect column to column in the frames. So this is column, and this is below column, and above column, and base plates are provided, and base plates with both of the column ends are provided, and a nut bolt has been provided at 4 places, and nuts they are nutted together, and then this is grouted. So you can see that reinforcement in the below section, and then this is the cross section, and this is the elevation or longitudinal section, and you can see that different for base plate an additional reinforcement has been provided at the joint, and additional that ties are provided, and they are quite close together to enhance the joint strength, and moreover at the edge of the column, and moreover this dowel bars are extruded outwards and connected with the base plate, and above base plate there is a shim provided for leveling, and then this is above column, and a wedged type of end has been provided, so that we can ensure that these nuts are tied together with the bolts, and you can see the reinforcement. So entire joint is dry packed with grout after alignment. So after alignment, first you have to align the columns together, and then you have to bolt them, and shim are helpful in alignment. Okay, and this is another figure in which splices sleeves have been provided. So sleeves for pre-stressing has been provided, and passage for injecting grouts into the sleeves has been also provided. So grout and shims, and so this is a pre-stress post-tension membrane. So post-tensioning strands are provided, and then they are passed through the another column, and then they are post-tensioned above, and these through these openings a grout is filled inside these sleeves, and sleeves can be of plastic or metal sheets are used, and they are grouted together to ensure that bonding with the this pre-stressed steel and concrete section is ensured. Okay, this is a frame column to column connections. They are connected together, and corbels are provided, and beams are placed, and above beams then slabs are provided. Okay, slab to beam connections, how a slab and beam are connected together. You have two options. So in all these previous applications, there are two options. An angle of iron and an anchoring bolts are provided, and the nut and bolt you are just joining together, and this is also post tensioning it can also be done. We will discuss in detail the post tensioning phenomena, and we have dedicated a separate lecture to post tensioning and pre tensioning. So you can look at that slab to beam connection means a beam has been placed, and above beam a slab is being placed, and this is almost a T-shaped beam, and different weld plates connections are provided and welded together with the beam, and then also with the column slab, and they are welded together. And you can see that part of the reinforcement from the beam is above, and they will be grouted together. The top bar through holes in the column connect to the beam, so they connect to the beams, and you can see that these top bars are ensuring the continuity of the shear and flexural stresses. Okay, and then there can be made fixed connections. Okay, you can see that a slab beam has been placed on the corbel of the column, and different slab panels are placed, and you can see that a concave side has been provided. This will work as a key with all these slabs, and you can see that a reinforcement has been provided. You can look into it that reinforcement for continuity of the stresses has been provided, and you can also see that continuity with the horizontal continuity between the beams is also provided, and you can also see that nut and bolt and plate connections between the column and the beam is also provided, so making it more fixed. Different options are available for you being a designer. Okay, column to beam connection, you can see that okay, this is post tensioning, and column has been erected vertically, leveled vertically, and you can see corbels are here, and bearing plate is placed, and then a member of the beam is placed, and here another member of the beam is placed. Then strands are passed through these opening sleeves and ducts, and here there will be nuts, and here an anchorage plate has been provided, and post tensioning jacking is done here, and this steel is tightened, and tensile stresses increase, and then they are bolted, and post tensioning tendons. So tendons are when a lot of strands are joined together, they form a tendon. So dry pack grouting is done, and pockets are grouted after tensioning is complete. So when tensioning is complete, and all the mechanism is complete, and bolts are anchored, and wedges are placed together in these sleeves, and anchorages, so then these openings are grouted, so you can ensure the continuity of the flexural and shear stresses across the beam. Connections between precast elements and structural members are usually non-accessible. So mostly these connections are non-accessible and must be properly protected from corrosion. So these openings should be properly, this opening and this opening and this opening should be properly protected from the corrosion, because moisture can enter through these openings, and you can provide grouting, proper grouting, or other filling or other mechanisms to protect your structure. And in the case of expansion or contraction joint, if you are providing expansion and contraction joint, access must be provided for regular inspection and proper maintenance. So expansion and contraction joints are intentionally provided, and there should be a proper regular inspection and maintenance of those joints. So you should provide an access or space for expansion and contraction joint. In such cases, demountable access which is easily and safely accessed must be provided. So means at expansion and contraction joints, you should provide a demountable access. Means those assemblies can be demounted, and you can look into the and repair the expansion and contraction joint. Okay, and slab systems, slab column system with shear wall. Okay, if shear wall is provided, these systems rely on shear walls to sustain lateral loads effect, whereas slab column structure resist mainly gravity loads. So we differentiate between shear wall and the frame system in this regard, that we assume that all the lateral loads will be beared by the shear wall, and frame system will be resisting the gravity loads. So reinforced concrete slabs are poured on the ground in the forms, so these shear walls are casted on the ground, and the slab panels are lifted to the top of the column and then moved downward to the final position. So means here it is a column, and here it is a column. So this shear wall, which is also a panel, is casted in horizontal ground, and then they are lifted, and then they are brought to above the columns, between two columns, and then they are placed. Temporary supports are used to keep the slabs in position. So these shear walls are like slabs, so these are helpful in temporary supports are provided until connection with the column has been achieved. So temporary supports are provided until the final connections are being established. In the connection, the steel bars dowels that project from the edges of the slabs are welded to the dowels of the adjacent components, and transverse reinforcement bars are installed in place. The connections are then filled with concrete that is poured at the side. So two things are there, that dowel bars are extruding out of these horizontal panels. So dowel bars are connected together, and sometimes post tensioning is also carried out, and you can see that then grouting is carried out. Most of the building of this type have some kind of lateral load resisting elements, mainly consisting of cast in place or precast shear walls. So these type of buildings are having lateral load resistance with the help of shear walls. This you can see that started bars are provided from the foundation extruding out, and these are dowel bars or starter bars, and columns are placed, and key is provided in column, and also an relevant key is also provided in shear panel and shear wall. So these are precast shear walls and hollow core for site fixed reinforcement and situ infill. So these are hollow from inside these cores, and you can see that these dowel bars are inserted in this hollow core, and then they will be grouted together, and above precast members here also there will be dowel bars extruding from this shear wall, and here will be this key. So there are different connections, and in situ concrete foundation you can see that columns and beams, a frame structure. You can see that a column end, how it is placed, and openings of the column, and reinforcement will be continued, and this joint will be grouted. Precast concrete construction procedure. After the completion of the construction preparations, the layout of the structure is set. So means construction procedures are followed, and proper layout is being carried out. Then foundation of the column is constructed. First foundation of the column is placed, and after that columns are placed using suitable machines. Means first column foundation, then columns, and continuously checked by surveyors for alignments. By surveyors are there at site for checking the alignment of the column. In case of the frame system and slab column system with shear wall. So in frame system and slab column system means those systems in which there is proper requirement of the columns. So you need to continuously check with the help of surveyor theodolite the alignment of the column. Alternatively, precast panels are installed in case of large panel system. So in alternate to frame system, the precast panels are installed as vertical members in large panel system. So beams of the precast frames. So beams in frames, beams and precast floors in case of large panel systems are and column slab systems are placed. So three systems we have studied that in frames beams are horizontal members, and in large panel system precast floors are horizontal members, and in column slab systems slabs are horizontal members are placed. So first foundation is placed, and then columns are placed, then beams are placed, and for precast after the installation of precast beams, precast floors are erected. So precast floors are laid and above steps are followed until the construction is finalized. So above step again, then column will be erected, and then beam will be erected, and the slab will be erected, and then shear walls will be erected. Shear walls are erected before the placement of the beam and slab. Okay, this is column to beam seated connection. These are seated corbels provided, and these are seated on those corbels, and seated connection column is provided, and slab is placed on these seats. Deep nip connection between walls provide large complementary shear stiffness and strength. So these are the nip connections, and shear stiffness and strength, and vertical joints using deep nips. These are vertical joints using deep nips. So you can see that a high-rise building is being constructed with the help of precast concrete. Alright, frame systems care to take during casting. Good formwork should be used, and lubricant should be applied to the formwork. Quality of the concrete, quality concrete should be used, and suitable method of vibration should be used. Proper vibrations should be carried out, and water for curing should be good, and potable water should be used for curing, and steam curing can be used for mass production if cost is available. So steam curing is also useful in steam curing. Steam is used at higher elevated temperatures, and this enhances the strength and setting time of the concrete. So care to take at plant. Once a piece has been fabricated, it is necessary to remove it from the mold without being damaged. So breakaway forms should be used. Breakaway forms are those forms in which that forms molds can be opened, and should be used to allow the member to lift away from the casting bed without becoming wedged within the form. The orientation of the members during storage, shipping, and final in place position is critical. Orientation of the members and sand beds will help protect edges, and tilt tables or turning rigs are used to reduce stripping stresses. Warpage in the storage may be caused by temperature or shrinkage differential between surfaces creep, and members should be oriented in the yard so that sun does not overheat. So members, these are the precautions at the plant, that means while you are fabricating, so your form should be openable and breakaway form, and there can be nut and bolt, and they can be opened several times. Orientation of the members is also important, that your orientation of the members should be such place that it is helpful in storage and shipping, and removal and placement of the precast concrete members. And sand beds should be used because while lifting these precast concrete members, edges will be protected, and tilt tables and turning rigs are also helpful in stripping, reducing the stripping cell. So tilt tables, inclined tilt tables are used. This is also a tilting table. Warpage in the storage can be reduced if the temperature is controlled, or differential temperature differential is quite less than warpage in the storage of the edges can be, or the members can be reduced. And so you should make ensure that gunny bags are provided above the members, or tarpaulin is provided above the members, so that sun rays do not hit directly on the surface of the precast member. So you can see that hard panel prior to the stripping. So casting has been carried out, and hard panel is side forms, and the side forms are opened, and hydraulic ram is provided, and tilt table. So here will be anchorages and panel stripping. It will be anchorages, and it will be lifted. During transportation, you should take care that load and the forces on the precast and prestressed concrete members during production, transportation, and erection are frequently require a separate analysis. So load and forces need separate analysis, that how production, during transportation, and erection, because you have provided special joints for the lifting of those members, and a lot of gravity load is being carried out by those joints. So you need to carry out the analysis at those points. Support points and orientation are usually different from the members in their final position. So these are sometimes supporting points and orientations. Supporting points and orientations are sometimes different when they are finally produced and placed. It may be necessary. It is not necessary that supporting temporary support is equivalent to permanent support of the member. This is not equivalent. So sometimes many temporary supports are provided. It may be necessary to cost in extra lifting devices to facilitate these maneuvers. So for these movements, carrying out smooth movements, different lifting devices can be incorporated in your member. So number and location of the lifting devices are chosen to keep stresses within the allowable limit. So you should make sure that lifting devices and their location and their number and quantity should be such that stresses do not exceed the allowable limits, and special handling required by the design should be clearly shown in the drawings. So there are also specialized drawings for these handling equipments and lifting devices, and they should be drawn properly. During transportation, lifting points must be located to keep member stresses within limits and to ensure proper alignment of the piece as it is being lifted. So lifting points should be properly shown, and member stresses should be within limit, and to ensure proper alignment of the piece as it is being lifted. Members with unsymmetrical geometry or projecting sections may require supplemental lifting points to achieve an even support during handling. So unsymmetrical geometry like L shape or T shape or some other type of shapes, unsymmetrical geometry or projections needs some additional lifting points, and so that uniform center of gravity is achieved. So when this members has areas of small cross section or large cantilevers, it may be necessary to add structural steel strong back to the piece to provide added strength. So if your member is too small, if your member is quite small and thicker member and large cantilever beam, then additional stiffening mechanism should be provided at the points of lifting. So temporary loads also need to be considered while transporting the precast concrete members. Alright, care to take during erection. During vertical placement, columns with eccentric loads from other framing members produce side sway, which means that columns lean out of the plumb. So eccentric loads can be incorporated on the column by the adjacent framing members or the beams. You can see that a column is being placed, and it was placed, and due to placement of the beam it has been displaced from its plumb line position. A similar condition can exist when cladding your facades are erected on one side of the multi-story structure. So it can be also said that this is a beam and a facade is provided, and so this can have misalignment. Unbalanced load due to partially complete erection may result in beam rotation. So you can see that a beam is placed and on the column, and this is a column, and a separate joint is provided, and you can see that the rotation is being carried out because partially completed erection has carried out. If you place here column, then it will be fixed, but it can also occur twisting or torsional stresses in this member. Then erection drawings should be address these conditions. So erection drawings should properly address the timings of placement and their placement, and how to check the leveling, vertical and horizontal leveling of the members. Some solutions are install wood wedges between the flange of the T and the top of the beam. So this is the T beam, and this is the top of the beam. So install wood wedges to resist the torsion, and use connections to column that prevent rotation. Use such connections to the column that prevent rotation of the member, and erect T's on both sides of the beam. So erect T's simultaneously on both sides of the beam to prevent the torsion. These are the few specific solutions for this to resist this torsional effect during erection. Okay, rotation and deflection of the framing members may be caused by cladding panels. So rotation and deflection can be caused. Rotation is at support, and deflection is at along the span of the beam or slab. This may result in alignment problems requiring connections that allow for alignment adjustment after all panels are erected. So means after all panels are erected, then you can align alignment adjustment needs to be carried out. Careful planning of the erection sequence is important Proper erection sequence is important in the carrying out. This is restated again and again that your drawings are too important in your precast concrete, because they will be stating the sequence of the erection. So if your sequence is proper, then this alignment and rotation and deflection issues will not occur so frequently. Here on the site of construction, the project can be economical considering the following factors: that stability and the stresses on the elements during handling, they should be considered while constructing, and transportation size and weight. So this is before constructing the precast concrete member. Stability and stresses of the member during handling should be considered before casting, and transportation size and weight regulations and equipment restrictions should be carried out. Means if your member is too big or too heavy, then there are highway requirements of weights against weights and against sizes, and also there are some U-turns. At U-turns you need to shift the direction of your vehicle. So that size and weights are and proper regulations need to be studied and incorporated in your designs, and available crane capacity at both the plant and the project sites need to be also considered before going towards precast concrete construction, and the position of the crane must be considered since capacity is the function of reach. So means when you are positioning the precast concrete member or casting the precast concrete member, the position of the crane must be considered, and storage space, truck turning radius and other restrictions need to be considered. So all these factors, if you are these factors are in your mind, then your mind is capable and logical enough to think about the future complications arising if you are not considering any of these individual factors while constructing the precast concrete members. Alright, precast concrete considered erection sequence. So erection, you should be having a precast concrete members shall be erected according to pre-planned sequence. So pre-planned sequence should be there, and they should be followed. An erection plan is commonly prepared drawings. So erection plan is commonly prepared. These are drawings. It is important for structural stability access to the connection at specific locations. So these erection plans or drawings should be they are addressing the structural stability and access to the junctions and joints. The erection sequence shall avoid multiple handling of the elements. So these erection sequence should avoid multiple handling of the element. And finally, a trial erection operation should be considered to identify any unforeseen erection difficulties. So before carrying out all the erections, so a trial erection operation should be carried out in one chamber of the construction. Means a single room should be erected. Temporary trial erection process should be carried out, and unforeseen erection difficulties should be addressed. For the production of the precast elements, this is an interesting point. The precast manufacturers requires about at least 1.5 months for manufacturing the molds. So means you have to prepare drawings for the mold, and you should be considering the tolerance limits of the mold, and how you are going to demold the precast member and all other. So 1.5 months is required for constructing the specific mold of that size, and mostly an order is given to the factories to prepare that size mold, and 0.5 month, half month for production of the precast unit. So half month is required for separate half month is required for production of precast unit, almost 14 days, and therefore the precast shop drawings showing geometrical sizes should be consolidated at least 2 months in advance of the scheduled date of the delivery to the site. So these precast shop drawings which is having geometric fabrics should be prepared at least 2 months and given to the precast concrete fabricators at least 2 months before the scheduled date of the delivery of the site. because 1.5 months will be taken for the manufacturing of a specific mold. Okay, if that mold has been previously prepared, so that 1.5 month can be reduced, but if the number of the precast molds are less, then again you have to consider that 1.5 month. Okay, all the above should be allowed for in addition to the time required for approval and consent by the government or client. So there are different regulations against these precast members again of all different countries, that how that approval system of the precast members, how it will be carried out, and how the engineers will be from the government will be inspecting your precast concrete processes, and approvals and consents of the government or the client. You should be also providing a time for those approvals and time needed for those approvals. Alright, you can see that a proper Primavera timeline schedule has been prepared, and working schedule of precast unit, and receive architectural layout and structural framing, precast shop drawings, submission, and you can see the days, and precast shop drawing, comments by consultant, finalizing precast geometric layout, electrical and mechanical subcontractors, markup, opening and embedding did elements on the facades, and finalizing electrical and mechanical information, and submission of drawings to BD submission, and building drawing submissions, and building drawing approval and consent. Mold design is carrying out 7 days, and delivery of the aluminium window frame sample, and manufacture of the mold, manufacture of the precast lifting beams and transportation system, delivery of the mosaic tiles and adhesives for production, and delivery of aluminium wood frame and other, installing the sealed molds on the casting yards, precast unit production, and laying tiles and cleaning batch, and first delivery at the site. So it all took 115 days from starting from the planning and the end of the, and you can see that many processes are some are crunched and some are run parallel activities. So your work breakdown schedule has been optimized. You can see in the bar chart and line chart. Okay, embedded items. Okay, these items why I have studied and gone through them and read them, so that these are kept in your mind, and you just don't skip this slide, considering that it is just a picture, but these are the major processes and all the processes which are incorporated in your preparation of the one precast concrete element. So you can think about the time and the schedule which should be made. Embedded items including window frames, electrical and mechanical pipe sleeves, and opening in precast elements should be delivered to the precast yard before the production. So these embedded items also include window frames, door frames, electrical, mechanical pipe sleeves, and openings elements should be delivered before the production of the. So these are also incorporated in those time schedules. The more comprehensive your time schedule is, the more better the sequence of operation or erection will be better. Erection safety. Safety during the handling and erection of the precast concrete elements is substantially important. Therefore, all machines and equipment employed precast concrete elements handling and erection needs to be maintained to high standards, load tested, and be suitable of intended utilization. So erection safety should be carried out, and means the load carrying member carrying elements should be of high standard. Gantry or cranes should be of high standard, and they should be tested against those load carrying the load which will be carried, and be suitable for intended purpose. Additional stresses should not be incurred in your member. Erection tolerance. There are some tolerance limits prescribed in different countries' code books. Generally, the precast units should be erected in accordance with the tolerances provided by the acceptable codes. So that tolerance should be your erection drawings and processes should be following the tolerance limits, and unless other tolerances are used in design and specifications. So tolerance gives the minimum and maximum criteria of your erection of the precast members. Rigging. Okay, rigging bars and rigging system, and a rigging system for handling and erecting precast elements requires careful and thorough pre-planning and it may be necessary to equalize loads between lifting points on certain precast elements such as beams and flat slabs. So sometimes beams and flat slabs are lifted, and you have to equalize the load so that there is no tilting in your load, and load is not being transferred at one side. And lifting accessories may be in the form of slings or cables, hooks or shackles. So these are lifting accessories incorporating the rigging, and the selection of such components should be take into consideration the forces due to all operations involved in handling and erection of the precast units. Okay, headroom availability and maneuverability during erection may also have an impact on the type of rigging system selected. So means above headroom for the movement, availability and the maneuverability. So means that there is electrical wiring in your place, and so towers are there, and you need to consider that your rigging applications, your rigging system should not be too high, and your lifting of the precast members should not be too high that is near to the contact with the electrical wirings. Temporary bracing is provided for columns and large panels, and precast concrete elements must be adequately braced and supported during all phases of the erection to ensure proper alignment and structural integrity until permanent structural connections are completed. Shims, level shims are provided. We have discussed them in detail in previously, that form a suitably durable material and should be adequately strength to carry imposed loads. They are provided and they are placed, and sometimes they are not removed and they are placed there. Level shims carry the full construction load of the precast element and must provide adequate support to prevent movement until element is incorporated in the main structure. So they are level shim is provided, and footing and grout between the panels, then they are grouted, and level shims and component person should determine the appropriate distance of preventing spalling. Level shimmers are wedge shape and plate shape. Alright, propping, all temporary propping, these are the proppings, and they can resist tensile loads and also compressive loads. All temporary propping requirements must be shown on the erection drawing. The design of the temporary propping system should be in accordance with the applicable codes. Temporary propping should provide full support for all construction loads. Precast elements supporting propping to upper level shall be checked against their construction concrete strength attained at that stage to ensure they are able to sustain the construction loads from the above. Timing of the removal of supporting propping at the lower level shall be checked to ensure the precast elements are not overstressed by applied loads from the above based on the correct concrete strength attained at them. So means proper timing should be also considered, that if this lower floor has been constructed and above floor is being constructed, so when you are going to remove these proppings from the floor beneath the above. Alright, joints and connections details. So this is a column, and column is placed, and this is a slab, and so backup material inserted in a joint to control depth and back profile sealants. So sealant is provided, and mortar joint sealant is provided, and this is also means a column, a girder is placed, and so proper sealant are provided in these joints connections. So you can see that an air seal is provided, and a baffle is provided, and wall, and baffle is inserted in grooves to block air passage of air and water. So air and water is prevented, and overlap of the baffles. So this is an air seal, and this is overlap of the baffle and floor, and flashing to lower panels are shown, air sealant. So joints should be properly sealed, and just look at this horizontal and members, and a sealant is provided, and bond break tape is provided, and external flexible sealant is provided. And so the concept is this, that means a bond breaker are inserted to prevent joint sealants from adhesion to the back of the joints. Okay, these are examples of the bearings and dry pack mortar. This is a member and this is another member, and bearing is provided, and wet bedded mortar, and you can see that elastomeric bearings pad are used, and you can see that reinforcement and bar welded or otherwise anchored to the cast and bearing plates. So the basic concept of joints and connection is this, that your joints should be water resistant, and there should not be any leakage, or okay, you can see that precast concrete joint, a sealant has been provided, an expansion joint, an opening, and there above the opening there is a sealant has been provided, and precast concrete panels, and sealant, vertical sealant. So sealant joints, seals are joints by adhering to the appropriate surface within the joint. So they are joined together. Alright, cast in connection, you can see that use of the thin topping on slabs and beams. So little reinforcement has been extruded out for cast in connections, and at site some construction or concreting will be done. So you can see that extruding of the reinforcement in the beams and extruding of the reinforcement in the slabs. So for having a monolithic connection, so some concreting will be done at the site. So cast in connection on the beam and column. So column, cast in connection, and beam, and slab will be so sometimes it occurs that some members of the frame are precast and some members of the frame are cast in situ. So different options are available. So very flexible this construction practice is that precast concrete. You can see this one, heavy construction, a girder is placed. You can see the end of the reinforcements, that means very congested type of reinforcement. So they are for anchorages, these ends are welded with some iron pieces. So lift inserts are provided for lifting purposes, and these inserts are provided in your members, concrete members, and they should be properly designed, and stresses need to be calculated while lifting those things. And you can see that omega shape lift has been provided, and another view is cross-sectional views like this one. A hook is provided, and sometimes a bulkhead is provided, and you can see that another lifting anchor with the bulkhead, reinforcement bars. Okay, bulkhead. So through this bulkhead, this member will be lifted, and through this I or omega shaped lifting insert, this member will be lifted. This is for slab, and this is for column. Okay, this is the bulkhead. This is. So when concreting is done, then this is the insert, so you can lift it through here, and this is the insert, and this is the mold, and you can see that how strong the mold is, and concreting has been done, and now it will be lifted through this one and this edge. So, okay, surface finishing can also be done on the precast concrete members, smooth off form finishes. So different types of finishing can also be applied. Just look at this, that precast facades, the facades are the exterior most portion of your buildings, and they are this is at factory, and this is precast member, and these workers are placing different tiles and precast toilet unit. So this is a volumetric element and this is a planar element, and you can see inside that tiles of different decorative tiles and windows are placed, and just you need to lift it and place it at the site. So decorative finishes on the precast facades with granite cladding. So decorative finish. So this is option up to the client that or the contractor that either that contractor is willing to have surface finish at the site, or if he is considering that it will be disrupted or there will be breakages in the surface finish, then he can also conduct this practice of surface finish at in situ or in factory too. Okay, this is water washed finishes at the connection. So pressurized water is being applied and for the exposure of the coarse aggregate, so that a proper bonding with the adjacent panel is being carried out. You can see that extruded reinforcement, and therefore, and you can see the keys which are provided, and electrical and mechanical pipings are provided. Alright, precast concrete checks which need to be checked, and prior to concreting, the condition of the molds shall be inspected, since it is directly influences the quality of the precast concrete powders. It says that the condition of the mold should be inspected prior to casting of the precast concreting. The mold forms shall be level. So form of the mold should be leveled horizontally and vertically level, and flatness of the base of the mold should be ensured that base is flat, and squareness should be ensured that there should be a 90-degree angle in at the corners of the mold, and stiffness of the mold form examined and mold kept free from the slippage. So mold should not be slipping, and there should be proper stiffness and bolted together, and manufacturers shall ensure that dimensions of the mold are within the tolerance specified. So manufacturers who are manufacturing the molds should ensure that they are as per the tolerance limits specified in the prescribed codes. The molds shall be clean and free from debris, and that is from the previous precasting operations. So that mold, if you are reusing the mold, so that mold should be clean and free from the debris. Form oil or release agent or retarders. So three things, either you can use form oil, release agent or retarders shall be applied to the surface of the mold to be in direct contact with the concrete. So that surface should be formed oil which will be in direct contact with the concrete. They shall be applied in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions, and over application may lead to puddling of the on the concrete surface. Some surface is darkened with due to a lot of availability of foreign material. Okay. These were related to formwork pre-concreting check, and these are related to reinforcement bars, reinforcing bars and cast in items such as lifting inserts, window frames, and earthing lugs should be fixed only after the preparation of the mold. So when mold has been prepared and checked against its tolerance and sizes and edges and corners and squareness and stiffness and everything, then rebar size should be checked, and spacing of the reinforcements and lap length. So one reinforcement and there's a lapping of the another reinforcement, and cover requirements shall be checked in accordance with the approved drawings and within the tolerance limits. Lifting inserts that possess adequate strength of the embedment to prevent damage during lifting. Okay, a sufficient number of spacers, chairs, and supports shall be properly placed and secured to achieve the required concrete cover during casting. So there should be spacers and chairs for the placement of the reinforcement bars, and window frames shall be installed and fixed in place according to the approved shop drawings and with full electrical continuity to the earthing lugs and facades. So windows frames should be constructed during their frames should be inserted in the placed at within the mold, and because you cannot prepare a hardened solid precast concrete panel and later on you just start hammering the frame for the creation of the opening for the window. So this is not possible. So you have to provide the windows and doors frames during the construction, and reinforcing bars and all cast in items shall be clean and free from contamination by mold, oil or cement grout before casting, and this may lead to poor bonding. Okay, your reinforcement bar should be clean from the corrosion, and all items should be clean and free from mold or cement grouts, and otherwise they will lead to poor bonding with the concrete. You can see that checking of the rebars, lap lengths you can see, and corners you can see, and this lifting devices you can see, and lift inserts before concreting, examine them, and extruding reinforcement you can see, and proper chairs have been provided, and bending and everything you can see. Concrete placement, attributes which relate to so a few of attributes we studied related to molds, and then we studied regarding reinforcements, and then we checking these reinforcements and corners, and concrete workability of the concrete should be ensured. Workability relates to these four phenomena. Consistency depends on the degree of dryness and wetness of the concrete mix. So you have studied this phenomena in detail in construction materials and concrete technology and various such named subjects. Deformability is the measure of workability of low to medium workability, and flowability is a measure of workability of high workability concrete, and passing ability measures the ability of the concrete mix to pass through narrow gaps. So means that it should be passable, and segregation resistance and cohesiveness relates to the potential separation of some ingredients due to free fall and sliding along the surface during the placing of the concrete. So your mix should be consistent, and deformation should be less, and flowability should be enough, not too much flowable that it occurs, segregation occurs, and passing ability, that your concrete should be passable, and if there is heavy reinforcement then smaller size of aggregate should be used, and okay, use of vibrating table is being used for concreting, and use of external vibrator if vibrating table is not in use, so external vibrator, so you can use vibrating table and external vibrator simultaneously. And make sure that proper curing has been conducted. Demolding and lifting. When concreting is done, then you have to demold and lift the precast member. A precast concrete product shall only be demolded and lifted when design compressive strength of the concrete has been achieved. So you cannot lift the precast concrete before the specified compressive strength has been attained. And this can be assessed by compression test on cubes cured under the same environment as a precast element itself. So on the site you have prepared the same mix design concrete, and which has been cured as the original precast concrete member. So you just conduct a compression test of that cubes, and you will come to know the compressive strength of the concrete member. And make sure that while lifting that compressive stresses and sometimes tensile stresses are occurred, so those calculations are being carried out before, and make sure that your strength is more than those designed strengths. The minimum concrete strength at which precast element can be lifted from the mold shall be based on the calculated concrete stresses at the lifting points and stresses caused by the transfer of the pre-stressing force or handling, the anchorage length of inserts and the type of precast elements. So same reiteration of the thing that while lifting, different stresses are incurred in your precast member, so these need to be calculated. And embedded hardware, threaded inserts, dowel connectors and removable sections of the molds are usually attached to the mold with bolts, pins and clamps. So embedded hardware, so these are the tools with the help of which bolts, pins, clamps, with the help of which you can inserting and fixing the embedded hardware, threads, inserts, dowel connectors and removable sections. Before demolding, all bolts, pins connected to the mold shall be loosened and all clamps removed. So before demolding, all bolts and nuts and should be loosened and clamps should be removed and side forms should be opened and windows capping shall also be detached. So windows capping should also be detached from the element. Failure to remove all bolts and pins in the common cause of failure of the lifting inserts and the formation of cracks on the concrete surface. So this is a failure phenomena that sometimes manufacturers forget to remove some specific bolts or pins and they keep on applying force and then there is formation of cracks on the members or concrete surface. Alright, demolding and lifting, and you can see that detaching the mold from the precast element, all the nuts and bolts should be removed, and this is your member and these are the molds have been removed, and you can see that lifting anchorages and holes are provided in your precast mold. The molds and molds can be made of any suitable material including steel, timber, glass reinforced concrete or combination of these. So your molds can be of steel, concrete, timber, even of concrete, precast concrete itself your molds can be. Locally the steel molds is the most common type of owing to its robustness and precision. So steel molds are mostly robust and precise, so they are mostly preferred, and in general the steel plate thickness, so it has been stated adopted for the mold design and fabrication varies from minimum 4.5 millimeter to 6 millimeter, which can be used over 100 times with proper care and maintenance. So these steel plates or steel plate molds can be used over 100 times provided that they are of specified quality. Sequence of lifting of the precast facades from the top to the right, and leveling is done, and all the bolts and nuts should be removed, and clamping should be opened, and there is a beam and for leveled carrying of the equally stressing the member of the precast, and first it is made horizontal, from horizontal it is made vertical, and tilting plans should be used, and it has been vertical and now it will be carried vertically. Curing has four major purposes, and to maintain a suitable environment for new concretes to produce ice match gel. So for the more the curing, the more the better formation of the gel is possible and develop its full strength and potential and reduces permeability. So denser structure of the concrete is formulated with proper curing and for better protection of the steel reinforcement from corrosion. If your curing is proper and there is dense microstructure of the concrete, then proper steel reinforcement can be prevented from the corrosion, and to avoid damage by plastic cracking and early age thermal cracking. So if there is thermal differential from beneath it is cold and above it is hot, and there is too much differentiation, differential of the thermal is too much, then early age thermal cracking can occur, and plastic cracking on the surface can also occur if no proper curing has been carried out. To avoid damage by shock vibrations due to nearby activities, proper curing should be carried out, and to avoid by premature loading caused by movement of adjacent parts of the structure, premature loading. So proper curing is actually strength, it is directly related to strength, and everything is not the strength. So your microstructure and your density and everything is incorporated, and curing is a major performance indicator of your precast concrete. So application of water to precast unit for normal curing and steam curing is also being carried out. So steam curing at elevated temperature for 1 hour or 2 hours steam is applied, and for 5 to 10 minutes in 1 hour steam at a specified certain degree is applied. Make sure that normal curing is carried out when your temperature, normal room temperature or site temperature is above 24 degrees centigrade. If that is below 24 degrees centigrade, then you must refer to steam curing, and this normal curing is not allowed in that case. Handling, the handling of the precast concrete units encompasses demolding, loading. Demolding, you have to demold the precast concrete member, and you have to load that to the vehicle loader, and for trailers, and transportation and unloading and storage and site erection. So these are the handling, and they can incur different type of stresses, and your precast concrete member can break. The optimum solution for economical handling is the ability to demold a unit and tilt it into its position similar to the storage position at its final configuration when installed in the building. So the basic solution is this, that when you are demolding, so you should be after demolding you should be tilting your precast member in such a position that that position is similar to the position at which it will be placed at the site or erected at the site. Rehandling and turning of units between, if you are rehandling and placing and then releasing and placing and then releasing and turning the units, changing the angles between the demolding and final installation adds extra cost and increases the danger of accidental damages. Hence handling must be reduced to a minimum. This is the basic fundamental of handling, that handling must be reduced to the minimum. Alright, rotatable steel rack for ease of lifting. So rotatable ease of lifting, and temporary support for facades in the factory. This is proper bracing. In factory they are temporarily supported, and they will be lifted from above. Okay, proper storage to avoid excess stresses and possible damage to precast. So proper cushioning is provided. I think wooden members are used for place that spacers as spacers. So you can see that vertical panels are spaced together, 1, 2, 3, and all those vertically and horizontally they are placed at storage. Lifting equipment and accessories. Lifting equipment such as mobile cranes, gantry cranes, and forklifters. This mobile crane and gantry cranes must be carefully selected to ensure that lifting of the precast element is carried out within the rated capacity of the lifting equipment. So these equipments have some prescribed pre-designed load carrying capacity, so they should be according to those capacities, and the support for the lifting equipment must be checked to ensure that adequate supporting capacity is provided. Alright, lifting accessories may comprise combination of lifting beams or frames, slings or cables, hooks or shackles, etc., and the selection of each of these components should be predetermined to take into account the forces exerted on them with respect to all aspects of the lifting operation. So means the lifting accessories can also be incorporated in combination of these equipments. Means lifting beams and frames, cables and hooks can also be used. So these are lifting equipment, and accessories are beams, cables and hooks. Okay, gantry cranes, you can look into it that this is a gantry crane, and this is also gantry crane for lifting purposes. Alright, lifting a precast unit. This is a complete unit, and these are being lifted with the help of beams. And lifting of precast stairs. This is a stair, and it is being lifted with the help of a beam accessory and the help of crane. So for uniform ensuring a uniform stresses, a beam is used, otherwise directly use of the cable is hazardous and harmful for the, and it will create stress concentration at specific sites. Okay, lifting of the precast facades. Facades are carried. Precast stairs. You can see that precast stairs. Double T panel slabs. These are the double T panel slabs. Okay, example of lifting pins for 30-ton precast column. So this is a column, and this is a lifting pin, and this is a crane, and these are so precast units must be stored safely with adequate supports. So these are supported at, you can see they are you can see at the back of these precast concrete members that they are safely erected at the storage site. Okay, this is the precast girder, and cast in sleeves and cast in strands. So these are the strands through which it will be lifted, and these are its drawings. Okay, examples of the support. This is horizontal support, and this is vertical support. Factory or site storage. Okay, you can see that these are the hooks provided for the lifting. Okay, ensure transportation, ensure no undesirable stresses to the precast elements due to flexing of the truck. So with the movement of the truck, there should not be any uncertain stresses. So pre-planned sequence of lifting to avoid multiple handling of the precast elements. So they should be placed in such a manner that they should be sequentially lifted. Okay, erection on the site, erection process of the staircase. There are voids provided, and you can see that this is voids reserved for installation. This is a precast member, and steel bars to be plugged in the reserved voids. So these steel bars should be plugged in these reserved voids. And just look at this, that steel bars to be plugged in the reserved voids, and they have been placed, and the steel bar is visible, and then grounding is done. And okay, these are for electrical and mechanical these holes applications. Okay, verticality of the precast facades adjusted to erect tolerance, and right is level shimming. This is level shimming, and this is bracing of the vertical facades. Proper pooping and temporary support. You can see that temporary support is provided to the precast members. Okay, quality assurance system. Quality assurance system means all your precast members should be ensuring the quality, and quality is ensured by evaluating your organizational policies and your regulatory policies, and evaluating your practices, common practices as per their standards, and the output is according to the check and balance and under supervision, and competency and everything needs to be ensured in your quality assurance system. So organizational chart is very important, and the casting yard, setup yard should be a quality and number of molds with the estimated production rate, and machinery employed, and production procedures, casting and transportation of the precast unit into the within the yard, and quality control procedures on the material and checkpoints, concrete, reinforcement bars, couplers, finishes, building services, installation, all need to be checked for against the quality control procedures on production and checkpoint. Approved plans should be used, and shop drawings used, or molds assembling and deassembling and rebar fixing, couplers fixing, welding works and finishes, and building services, installation, concreting work, and curing. All these need to be checked and assessed to ensure the quality assurance system and calibration of the testing equipment. Responsible parties, frequency and standards, either they are followed or not. Testing of the precast units such as dimensional checks, cover meter test, and so covering test and pull out test for the tiled finish, and bond testing for the building services installation. Concrete repair procedures should be evaluated, and handling of non-compliant precast units with corrective or preventive actions, either corrective actions or preventive actions as being carried out. Inspection forms need to be checked, and identification system of the precast units. So if there is a proper identification system of the precast audit by the independent parties is being carried out. So you can see that quality assurance ensures that quality is being followed in your organization, in HR, and during your equipment through which you are handling, and production processes, and your that output or different checkpoints are ensured against the quality, and so acceptance and approvals and standards and calibration and testing and handling, and what about discarded members, and how are you going to repair, and inspection forms are properly filled in, and audits are properly, independent audits are carried out, and there is either there is an independent identification system. So quality is very essential if you are going to start some entrepreneurship in precast concrete construction. Then these quality measures should be, these are not measures, these are just quality criteria or quality factors which need to be incorporated. All right, these are the some of the case studies, not case studies, just an examples of the building precast concrete projects. 6 different precast concrete projects will be seen. This is a high-rise building, and this is a precast building, and project number 2, redevelopment of Kawai Chung flatted factory. These are during construction, and this is your end output, and this is whole precast concrete, and even panels are being panels and independent units are being carried. Okay, Taiwai maintenance center property development. This is all precast concrete. Hung Home Estate. This is all precast and during precast and final product. And this is project number 5. Orchards. This is during construction, and this is your final product. All right, in this lecture, this was a very fascinating lecture and very interesting lecture, and very prevalent product in the construction industry is that precast concrete construction. So you can look into it, that it is a very big topic, and it has been just given one lecture, and covering almost all the essential aspects of the precast concrete construction, and you can look into it that it is means an emerging field and in the construction area, and you can start an entrepreneurship in these specialized precast concrete elements. So there is a lot of business opportunity in this precast concrete construction area, and especially in Pakistan. All right, that's it from today's lecture, and we will be going into deeper. We will study some pre-stressing and especially these are the different forms of precasting and pre-stressing, and pre-stressing is subdivided into pre-tensioning and post-tensioning, and we will be we have dedicated special individual lectures to them, and we'll come up with more interesting topics. Thank you and assalamu alaikum.